What if I told you the original Dead by Daylight killer wasn't born a monster? He was raised to become one. This is the story of Evan MacMillan, better known as the Trapper. Evan grew up as the son of Archie MacMillan, owner of the MacMillan Mining Company. From the outside, the MacMillans were wealthy and powerful, but inside the mines, Archie ruled through fear, violence, and absolute control. To Archie, his workers weren't people, they were maggots. They existed only to make him richer. As a teenager, Evan saw something his father didn't. The miners weren't weak, they were organizing, quietly planning to unionize in hopes of earning fair wages, reasonable hours, and something they hadn't had in years: dignity. Evan secretly supported them. And for the first time in his life, he believed things could actually change. But his father had spent Evan's entire childhood shaping him into his own image. Archie constantly beat him, mocked any sign of kindness, and insisted that compassion was weakness. He told Evan that workers had to be broken before they could be controlled. Break their will, break their spirit, and they'll do whatever you ask. It wasn't just the miners Archie abused. He'd already broken Evan's mother, and now he was trying to break his son. Despite everything, Evan held on to one thing his father couldn't take away. He loved to draw. Archie hated it. To him, sketching was useless, soft, and beneath a MacMillan. So Evan drew in secret. Every sketch became an act of rebellion, and as the years passed, his artwork grew darker. He drew his father wearing a bear's skin. He drew him murdering his own brother. He drew him drowning Evan's mother. Archie claimed his brother had died heroically fighting a grizzly bear and that Evan's mother had simply disappeared in a river current. But Evan never believed either story. He became convinced his father had murdered them both. Not for revenge and not by accident, but because they stood in his way. The only people who ever treated Evan with kindness were the miners. They encouraged his artwork, and they talked with him like he was an equal. And for the first time in his life, Evan had friends, and that made him question everything his father had taught him. He found himself torn between two loyalties: the father who had raised him, and the people who actually cared about him. But years of abuse were beginning to change him. After one sick miner collapsed from exhaustion, Archie ordered Evan to drag the man out of the mine. And as Evan pulled him away, something frightened him. For just a moment, he looked at the dying worker and thought about putting him out of his misery. It wasn't mercy, it wasn't disgust, and Evan realized he was beginning to think exactly like his father. There were moments when Evan considered ending it all. He stood over his sleeping father with a massive stone, wondering if he should kill him. He imagined engineering a hunting accident, or trapping Archie deep inside the mines before igniting the dynamite. But every time, he couldn't do it. His hatred never outweighed the twisted love he still felt for the man who raised him. Eventually, Archie's suspicions caught up with him. He discovered Evan's hidden sketches. One drawing was missing. The portrait accusing Archie of murdering Evan's mother. And instead of destroying it, Archie framed it above his own bed, and he revealed something even worse. The miners Evan trusted had betrayed him. They sold the union plans to Archie for money. The people Evan thought were his friends had handed him over. For the first time, Evan felt hatred toward everyone. His father, the miners, even himself. Years later, Archie's sanity completely collapsed. Terrified that the miners would take his fortune, he ordered Evan to help eliminate every last witness. Together, father and son lured more than 100 miners into the tunnels of the MacMillan mine. Then the explosives were detonated. The entrance collapsed. Everyone inside was buried alive. It became one of the worst mass murders in modern history. No one could ever prove Evan was responsible, but no one ever saw him again. When investigators finally found Archie MacMillan, he was locked inside the basement of his own warehouse. Alone, starved, abandoned. No one knows exactly who trapped him there. And not long afterward, the entity claimed Evan. His massive frame became covered in jagged metal spikes, binding him forever to its will. The compassionate boy who'd once dreamed of helping the miners was gone, and only the trapper remained. Even the observer who studies the memories of those trapped within the entity's realm questioned Evan's fate. He wondered whether the entity had begun corrupting Evan but long before it ever even took him, or if years of abuse alone were enough to create the monster he became, and he never found an answer. The observer later uncovered something even stranger. Across countless other worlds, artists and writers had unknowingly dreamed about Evan's life, turning his story into comic books and works of fiction. A real killer in one world, a fictional character in another, leaving one final unsettling question. If someone could dream about Evan, who might be dreaming about us?